How do you turn 20 pounds of random Lego into a modular building based on Diagon Alley from over 10 years ago? Stay tuned and you'll see. Welcome back to Rid's Bricks. So what happens when you buy used Lego from a lot on Facebook Marketplace? A few things can happen. You can either get a bunch of junk and dog hair and smelly bricks mixed in with a bunch of other toys, or you can strike gold, like I did. There's plenty of reasons why it's great to get these used lots. It's a cheap way to get a ton of bricks that have been used by somebody else and they don't want to play with them anymore. Most of the time it's kids that age out of it and parents want to get rid of the toys. So they sell the lots on different marketplaces. And for me at least, there's an element of surprise of not really knowing what you're going to get. It's like buying a blind box, a massive blind box, and trying to play detective to figure out what sets you have in there and what pieces and what minifigures and what goes with what and how can you like make something of greater value than this just pile of bricks. So it's kind of interesting in that regard. I don't like normally buying used bricks because you don't really know what you're going to get. They could be, the level of being used is really wide. You know, there's adult collectors that just have them on the shelf like I do, and they're not being touched and they're not being played with, they're not being tossed into buckets. But then you can have the other extreme of the spectrum is like a young child that doesn't really care about the stuff, a parent who's just dumping it in a giant bin and throwing it, and the sets are all mixed together, the pieces all mixed together, the figures are mismatched and not organized in any particular way. A house that somebody's smoking in, or a house that's got pets. So you don't really know what you're going to get. So I like to go check out some lots occasionally and see what the quality is of these. And sometimes you find pieces that are definitely not Lego. Oh. So you gotta like dig through this and find these and get rid of them because you can't have them mixing with your Lego. But it is extremely time consuming to take all the bricks, wash them, check if they're official Lego, match them up to the sets, gather it all together, find the part list, make sure none of the pieces are missing. So you've got to weigh the pros and cons of buying it. And I still got 2 bins of these that I still need to clean and sort through and separate out. Recently, I don't know what got into me, and I saw a post on Facebook Marketplace for a 20-pound lot of Lego for a pretty good price. It was about $100 for the whole lot. And she had weighed it, the mother who was selling it had weighed it, and it was like, it's all mixed in together. It's a bunch of different stuff. I tried to separate it into bags. I'm selling it all. I was like, I'll take all of it. I'll take the whole lot. I'll take the whole bunch. So what do you get? I gathered all the bags and I put them into a giant bin. So I've got this giant bin of parts and from all types of sets. And you start digging in, you start seeing if there's any recognizable pieces. For example, like you'll see like a city pizza sticker. So you know what? That means probably the city pizza truck is in here somewhere. And you start looking for what you can find and what's got any value and or interest. Like, what's that? That's a question mark. That's the Riddler, probably, like from some Batman set. This particular haul ended up getting me a bunch of random figures. I had some pretty cool stuff. You got Electro, you got Miss Incredible, you got Wonder Woman, some Minecraft guys. So you never know what you're going to get. I was able to also get 2 parts of the amazing classic elephants. I started noticing a lot of Harry Potter parts. So I started grouping the pieces together. So for example, like this is clearly the Hogwarts train. There was like the cart from the Hogwarts train. So I started gathering like the pieces. I'm like, okay, you've got train parts, and start picking out. You've got the stickers and the red windows. What is this? The sticker that says Hogwarts Express 9 3/4 track. So you start noticing, like there's the roof fully built still. So you start noticing pieces of sets, and I start digging in there, looking up the photos, seeing what it is, looking up the instructions, and seeing what parts I would need. But I also started noticing these glow-in-the-dark parts. Very interesting. And I started looking up which sets had glow-in-the-dark parts. And I realized I had struck gold. In that box, I had the Diagon Alley set from 2011. Set 10217. Classic set. That's selling for about $300 used, $400 if you found it brand new. So I started digging in the box, started pulling out all the pieces, started pulling out the green windows, started pulling out black bricks, masonry bricks, started realizing that I've got quite a lot of this set. I can probably rebuild this. So pull up the instructions off the Lego website, and I start rebuilding the Borgens and Burke shop, and start rebuilding that based on the instructions, start putting it together, start realizing which pieces are missing. I started putting it together and realized that I could probably make a modular building out of it instead of trying to rebuild the original set that didn't include the other two buildings were not in the box. Like there were too few pieces to rebuild the full Diagon Alley set, so I wasn't going to have the full value of that Diagon Alley set. And since they've released a new Diagon Alley set, you don't really need the old one. But this particular building had a lot of interesting parts and a lot of cool looking design features, so I wanted to rebuild that. I pull out a 16 by 32 base plate to make a half width modular building and start, taking the original design apart and rebuilding as a modular building, half size, 16 studs wide. And here's the building I ended up coming up with to fit into my modular city. It's not exactly like the original set, but it retains the spirit of the original set. It's got a lot of cool details, and it made for a really spooky modular building that could just fit in with the other buildings. It's not as tall, but had a nice color scheme with the gray, black, and that dark forest green. And then having all those glow-in-the-dark pieces as accents around the windows lent itself to make a really spooky kind of worn down part of town building. Did some stuff in the back with like garbage and Oscar the Grouch hanging out back there with some garbage. Added a bunch of masonry bricks on the side in gray to really fill it out. I was able to get the arched windows, both arched windows fully, able to find all the green windows to be able to fill out this. The bay window from the set, just as it is pretty much, was able to get that. The door and the structure really retained a lot of what the original build looked like, but made it into a modular building. So really happy with the way this came out. The original set didn't have a ton going on inside of the set, so concentrated a lot on the outside of the building, but really went with the spooky vibe for the stuff that's on the inside. Went for the spooky vibe on the outside, added, the black cat and the witch out front. So I didn't want to overdo it. I didn't want to add too many parts from my own collection for this, but ended up adding actually taking one of the VIP pirate set to add some skeletons inside. Came up with a really cool modular building that fits in with the other ones. I've got it in my modular building display back here, got a full block here. So it fit in really nicely and gives a more dynamic look because it is a shorter building. So it allows for some of the taller buildings to drop off and so that there is like that skyline effect that you have with different heights of different buildings. Really like how it came out. Let's take a closer look inside. The roof element was really nice. Had some detailing here, added a bat up there. Didn't really have a need for the chimney that came. This from the original set was the piece that you turned to turn chaining chamber inside. Didn't really have a need for that, but just added it up there because it was a cool looking element. Added some windows and then the glow in the dark bricks there. And then moving down to the level below, was able to put some of these lanterns up here to give that spooky vibe. You can see the skeleton through the window and those. And then on the bottom floor, there is a skeleton right there in the window. There is stairs, so it does like line up with the second level. So the level is fully finished, and I can, you know, stack it perfectly. It lines up with the previous level to give it a nice finished look. It's super clean. Boom. Like that. And like that. I really like how it came out. It has some spooky vibes. It doesn't look like any of the modulars that currently exist, so I really like the fact that it offered a different looking building that could fit in with other modulars using the masonry bricks and the styling. A completely different look and works really nicely in the main street. Let me know in the comments if you've ever struck gold, but with a lot that you purchased, and what cool sets have you been able to find for super cheap. I'm still going to dig through this big pile and see if I can suss out some other pieces and parts and see what other things we can make out of it. And maybe we'll make another video about that. But thank you for watching, and stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Super grateful for everybody that's been following along and leaving comments. Keep doing that, because that's what makes the channel super fun for me and interesting. The engagement with the people and having everybody get involved. So thank you so much, and keep watching. Take care.